Not just drugs, but auto thefts, extortion, and assaults are the stock in trade of San Francisco's Asian street gangs. Police say the gangs are growing, and they are engaging in ever more serious crimes. Asian Affairs reporter Vic Lee has this story.
Last month, a brawl between two groups of Chinese teenagers led to this shooting at a Vietnamese restaurant. Last week, a Chinese teenager was shot to death in a dispute over stolen motorcycle parts. In the last year, there has been an increase of violence in San Francisco involving young Asians. Many of them are members of emerging youth gangs. The two biggest and best organized Chinese youth gangs are called the Asian Invasion and the Locomotion, two gangs that are battling for turf here in the Richmond district. Tom Fields is a longtime Richmond resident. He heads a neighborhood group asking for more police protection.
We had a murder half a block down from me in a schoolyard recently, and that happened at 8 p.m. at night, and apparently there were a lot of stray bullets flying around. And I looked out my window, and there was an officer looking under vehicles for a weapon.
Bok Pan, another resident, says the gang problem has been exaggerated. Pan heads the American Chinese Association.
Some of the neighborhood people misunderstood, and they look at Chinese youth and they jump to the conclusion that they are gangs. But I'm sure there is one or two bad apples in every barrel.
Recent statistics show the Richmond is still the safest district in the city. But in the last 4 months, there have been 5 drive-by shootings in the avenues. Police attribute some of them to the gangs. Vic Lee, News Center 4.
In a sweep of 13 states today, authorities arrested more than 100 Jamaican gang members, including some here in California. Officials say they're trying to cripple Jamaican drug rings tied to at least 600 murders. The drug traffickers are also believed to be responsible for 60 to 70% of the crack cocaine in the United States. One official referred to the gangs as this country's most violent organized criminals. 5 of the arrests today were in Southern California. Other big pickups happened in Dallas, New York, and in Miami.
Require 2 guards. And why wasn't Castrejón searched? After the killing, when he was searched, guards discovered a razor blade and, amazingly, a key to the handcuffs.
It could raise questions of the quality of search, and it could also raise questions as to the quality of supervision while on the tier.
Black inmates have a theory.
If the administration staff would have you jump on one inmate unjustifiably, well, they got to come and get it, jump on everybody down the road. Such unity, such concerted efforts on the part of inmates against staff, administration don't like. So in that context, they figure, well, we have to show these individuals that they're not indestructible.
There's one other thing that makes black inmates think Montgomery was set up. Even though Castrejón killed Montgomery in front of a dozen guards and witnesses, the prison so badly bungled the case, Castrejón has never been charged with the crime. From San Quentin, I'm Ginger Rutland, News Center 4.
I'm Kevin McCullough in Washington. A panel of former youth gang members today painted for Congress a bleak and desperate picture of gang life.
Where I come from, most of the gang members do the selling of drugs to get weapons. The weapons we use are automatic rifles, machine guns, Uzis. A couple of my friends have grenades.
I talk to gang members and say, hey, we're going up to Vegas this weekend to make me some money. You know, he can't make the same money on his rock in L.A. that he can make in Vegas. So he goes to Vegas for 3 or 4 days, comes back with bank. I mean, we're talking $10,000 coming back.
Plus the jobs, I mean, be honest with you, $3.35, something like that minimum wage? You can't really do that. You work, there's places like Burger King and stuff, make you work hard. I mean, you want a little bit more money than that. Now things, of course, is more expensive nowadays, so of course you will sell some drugs to get some extra money.
Professionals who try to help the gang members were uniformly pessimistic about the future.
You know, I've been studying youth violence for a long time. I hate to tell you how long, but it's really over 20 years. But I would have to tell you that in all candor, I've never been more worried, more troubled than I am today about what I'm seeing out there.
At the end of the hearing, committee members sounded disheartened, too. Chairman George Miller of Contra Costa County isn't proposing any new bills to help, just concentrating on fighting budget cuts on existing programs. In Washington, Kevin McCullough, News Center 4.
This is Bob Serkin in Sacramento at headquarters of the Western States Information Network, trying to wage a high-tech war on drugs and the gangs which deal them. This is a federally funded clearinghouse for narcotics intelligence, gathered and traded by the Justice Departments of California, Oregon, Alaska, Hawaii, and Washington. The computers here are spitting out information on 75,000 known drug smugglers, traffickers, and money launderers. At least a quarter of them members of the Crips and the Bloods, rival L.A. gangs shooting it out for control of rock cocaine markets from Honolulu to Anchorage.
We're in trouble.
Don Myers, director of Western States Info Network, cites a recent Hawaii case as an example of the drug gang's boldness.
We're seeing more violence. For example, we know of a case where a police officer who made an arrest on what we believe to be a Crip associate, or a Crip, was later assassinated.
Sacramento has become one of the latest hotbeds for L.A. drug gang dealing and violence. In South Sacramento last year, 15 gang-related murders. The Crips and the Bloods are now buying their cocaine cheap and direct from major Colombian suppliers, then reselling it for 400% profits. Intelligence analyst Phil Steed.
The various members of the L.A. street gangs know some of the Colombians well enough to go in and buy the cocaine in bulk from them.
Despite their high-tech approach, agencies like the Western States Information Network are barely making a dent in the L.A. drug gang's thriving business. Not only that, but new federal budget cutbacks, especially affecting the Coast Guard's drug interdiction program, are enabling the Colombians and the L.A. gangs to remain one step ahead of the law. Bob Serkin, News Center 4, Sacramento.
Another escapee from San Francisco's Youth Guidance Center has been captured. Police arrested 17-year-old Lawrence Worthy last night near Golden Gate Park. Worthy faces narcotics charges in San Francisco and in Texas. He was one of 11 dangerous juveniles who escaped from the center last Friday using a stolen key. 4 of them are still at large and considered dangerous.
The California Youth Authority reports the number of juveniles jailed in this state has skyrocketed in the past decade. At the end of last year, more than 17,000 juveniles were incarcerated in California. Currently, there are more than 1,400 juveniles behind bars in the Bay Area, 109 of them in Juvenile Hall in San Francisco, 178 in the San Mateo County Juvenile Hall or Detention Camp, 187 in Contra Costa County's Hall or Ranch. There are 387 juveniles incarcerated in Santa Clara County. And in Alameda County, 331 juveniles are either in Juvenile Hall or the Los Cerros Boys Ranch. Well, the ranch is an alternative. It's a place where some young people are sent in hopes of keeping them out of prison and returning them to the streets as productive citizens. As Channel 7's Willie Monroe reports, those who run the program say it is just what some kids need.
It took 18-year-old Mark Tatman 6 months at the Los Cerros Boys Ranch to earn the privilege of a home visit pass. He's looking forward to seeing his family this weekend.
I think if I don't go home and see him, then I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably go crazy.
The visits mean a lot to him because family is important.
To me, without it, you're nobody. You got to have some type, whether it's your cousin, your auntie, your father, your mother, don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some type of support from somebody, a friend or somebody.
Juvenile judges who sentenced youthful offenders to this 100-bed facility have already determined that despite their serious crimes, they can return to their communities. The average stay is less than a year. It is the last stop for the California Youth Authority, the state's prison for young people. Unlike Juvenile Hall next door, where about 250 young people are locked up waiting for their cases to be resolved, Los Cerros has no fences or guards.
24 hours a day, if they decide that this program is not for them, they can walk away. We do not chase them.
A few do walk away, but they risk commitment to the California Youth Authority. Those who remain are involved in a program of incentives and rewards. There is heavy emphasis on education. Many earn high school diplomas here.
The philosophy is that youngsters can change, and that with proper program, proper counseling, support from the parents, support from probation officers, that they can control their behavior and they can learn to be better citizens.
Officials say there's no guarantee the young people who leave here will stay out of trouble. Some do not, but they are encouraged by their successes. In San Leandro, Willie Monroe, Channel 7 News.
Has the latest dramatic evidence tonight that crack use is spreading wider, far from the cities and closer to the children.
Police rounded up more than 100 alleged crack dealers early this morning in 3 New Jersey towns.
Authorities say those arrested are typical street pushers, the kind who are now selling crack in the suburbs and in small towns across the country.
These drug dealers that we dealt with today will be replaced on the streets with new individuals in a matter of hours, days, or weeks.
Police made most of the arrests in Passaic, New Jersey. They say this was the base of operation, the local elementary school playground. During the summer, police videotaped numerous drug transactions and made undercover buys on the playground. They say much of it took place in broad daylight in front of young children.
Yeah, Passaic used to be a lovely town. I used to like it a lot.
I think the neighborhood is getting worse. I think it's hard on the parents to have to send their kids to this school.
We're struggling for an answer. We want to be rid of this.
And so does law enforcement, which is tracking the near uncontrollable spread of crack from the cities to outlying areas, like this tiny South Georgia town. Police here recently arrested 19 people and confiscated $25,000 worth of crack.
We have seen drugs start before and spread across the country. Nothing with the speed that we have seen with crack.
Police say today's investigation was designed to find out how much and how fast crack is infiltrating the state. For people in this neighborhood, the answer is too fast. They fear the dealers will be back in the schoolyard before class is out tomorrow. Victoria Corderi, CBS News, Passaic, New Jersey.
City police suspect heavily armed caravans are being used now to transport large amounts of money and crack cocaine from one neighborhood to the next. We have 3 reports tonight on gang-related drug problems in 3 Bay Area cities, beginning with this exclusive report from Mike Kelly in San Francisco.
Groups of cars, suspected crack caravans, have been spotted by police rolling down city streets in the past 3 to 4 weeks. City police and federal drug agents tell News Center 4 exactly how these drug-running convoys operate. They say as many as 5 cars are involved. In the middle are security cars, gang members armed with semi-automatic weapons. One of them is the so-called mule or stash vehicle. It contains large amounts of cash and crack cocaine. The lead car and tail car are clean. Police say these decoys will take evasive action, even cause an accident if the caravan is threatened. The most recent sighting of a suspected crack caravan was early Monday evening here at the corner of Paloux and Ingalls in the Bayview district. An officer safety alert broadcast over police radios advised patrol cars not to approach the convoy unless they had sufficient backup. What became of that caravan is not known, but an undercover federal drug agent interviewed by News Center 4 says the drug convoys are a trademark of LA gangs. Those gangs, he says, supply 50% of the crack cocaine to the San Francisco area. Police say the caravans were initially conceived as protection from other drug dealers and are highly sophisticated, even equipped with police radios. In San Francisco, police have not yet confronted one of the caravans. They say they're concerned about being outgunned and outmanned. Federal agents say the gangs are ruthless and show no remorse about shooting down innocent people who happen to get in their way. In San Francisco, Mike Kelly, News Center 4.
3 days after Andrew swept through southern Florida, an estimated 180,000 people are still homeless. A dawn to dusk curfew is still in effect, and 200 people have already been arrested for looting.
No, not every man for himself, every family for themselves.
Yeah, they got TVs and everything. What's that telephone for? Where'd that come from? Most of these people are stealing, stereos, VCR, TVs and stuff. When they're stealing food and stuff, we mostly give them a break.
I'm hungry, sir. I don't have no candles, no money, no nothing for my foster kids, sir. So you're trying to find somewhere to buy some candles or something for my kids, sir.
Food in Dade County is in short supply, and there are long lines for ice, gas, and just about every other daily necessity. Damage is estimated between $15 and $20 billion, and if that figure holds, this will be the costliest disaster in U.S. history.